Welcome to the Team of One podcast, where we share the story of the solopreneur by exploring different ideas from different voices so you too can find a way to live life on your own terms. My name is Mo Choice, and in this episode, I spoke to Dr. Cree Scott, who went from big consulting to skilled solopreneur. We discussed how she used lockdown to finally design her life and how she leveraged her network to make it happen. We then talked about her new book and how she plans to use this to widen her impact and show the world her holistic self in order to build a lasting personal brand. Dr. Scott is a present and purposeful human being, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope you will too. Peace. Welcome to the Team of One podcast. Today we are joined by Dr. Cree Scott. Dr. Scott, who are you?
I am a clinical psychologist turned executive coach and leadership development expert. I own my own boutique consulting firm called Serenity Side Consulting, and I love working with leaders across industries, and no matter what level you're at, whoever's seeking to really uncover the things that make you most successful, you are my people.
Well, I appreciate that introduction. Do you identify as a solopreneur?
I do, yeah.
What does that mean, solopreneur?
It means that for now, as it stands today, my goal is to work specifically with organizations or other businesses solely as myself through my company. And if I need additional help and if I want to grow, I will do that in a steady pace. And I will bring in 1099s to help, but I'm not necessarily looking for any full-time employees.
When for people that are not so familiar, what's a 1099?
It is an independent contractor or consultant.
So so here's a question I always, because I'm hiring one of my mentors calls it an army of VAs, right? And so I've got this idea about one VA focuses on one thing full time. That's the idea. So because usually when I used to hire VAs, it would be like they do everything that I don't want to do.
Sure.
And they'd never be any good at it because there was too many things to do. So someone challenged me the other day and goes, that means you're not a solopreneur. And I was like, why? And they're like, because you're hiring other people. And I'm like, what if I hired a window cleaner? And they go, but that's not your business. I go, it kind of is, because if I hire a window cleaner, that's going to save me time to go and work on my business.
Right.
The same way if I hire a VA to look at my emails, that's going to save me time to go and do sales.
That's right.
And he didn't have an answer for that. What do you say about that?
I think that just because you hire someone or bring someone in to help doesn't make you different than other solopreneurs. I think that you're smart in doing so, and that any good business owner would tell you to hire people to do the things that will free you up to do the things that you really need to be focused on. So I don't necessarily see that as a problem, and that's how I kind of run my business as well. So I guess we're one and the same.
Yeah, I heard one of my last guests on this podcast, hasn't been published yet, but it will be by the time they listen to this one. She said, it's about the goal. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, usually in a team or a group or an organization, you have the same goal. Everybody's working toward. Whereas as a solopreneur, you could have a team behind you, but no one cares about your goal. They're just doing their thing. You're the only one focused on the goal. I really like that. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it. But I think there are some times in which you can still be a solopreneur, bring people in and work towards the same goal as well. Like, it just really depends, like whether your goal is being successful as, in marketing or being successful in, like being
like a business goal, you mean?
Exactly, like business goals.
I think she meant it more vision, mission kind of thing.
True, but I'm even thinking about when I bring in people to help me on projects. Like, we all have the same goal to be successful for this client, and for that project. So I do think that there are times in which you can still be a solopreneur and bring people in. I think that we're mincing words when we start to get it so specific to where we can't be flexible and agile in how we perform. So I don't really get too bogged down in what it means, other than just making sure that it fits what I need at that time.
Right. What inspired, when you were a clinical psychologist, you were also a solopreneur?
Sometimes I did it through my own business. Other times I actually was an employee. So it really just depended on the time in my career. But yeah, I did both.
You did both. And then what inspired you to go down this new route? I'm assuming that was fully solo.
So actually what happened is I went from being a clinical psychologist to consulting. So I was in consulting for, goodness, 14 years or so, like 2 years employment. Yeah, 2 years at Booz Allen Hamilton and over 10 years at Deloitte. So my business is relatively new. It's in its infancy, as I would say. So we're like 4 years in. This is the fourth year. So yeah, it's pretty new.
I call you lockdown solopreneur.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And Booz Allen and Deloitte are not, that's not a joke, right? So obviously you've leveraged that to help you go solo. How did that happen?
Absolutely. So when I was at Deloitte, one of the things that I learned, or that I was given the opportunity to learn about myself, is that I really love instructional design and I love learning and development. So I was started off in client service, both at Booz Allen and at Deloitte, and working, very nicely alongside my client. And then when I had my child, I wanted to work from home, and I had to find something that really measured and really helped me to use my skill set in a way that was going to be successful still. So one of the things that I started looking at is leadership development, because I was an adjunct professor before, but a lot of the things that I did for my clients was around learning and development as well, specifically in the mental health space. So I took those skill sets and really started to focus more on what workplace performance looked like, and started to design courses and to design programs to help leaders really get to that place of high performance and high potential. So that's kind of where I learned about what I love doing most today, was at Deloitte. It afforded me the ability to meet other vendors who do what I do currently, to understand how they approach it, what they do. And then once I got to a place of I'm not looking to do this anymore for an employer, instead of doing it for myself, I decided to go out on my own and try it out. So, and here I am today doing it.
Well, tell me about that. So you mentioned having a baby, but what were the things that went through your mind that made you go, now's the time? So talk me through that.
Oh, wow. So after I had my child, it was really, I was pretty locked down in employment, and I wanted to have an employer, because having a child is really something that you want all the stability that you can get. It wasn't until probably maybe like 7 or 8 years later that I started to think, like, I should probably, be looking at, like, what am I doing long term? And it wasn't that I couldn't figure that out at Deloitte. I do think that had I stayed at Deloitte, I would have 100% done just fine, and I would have been able to meet some of my goals. I think it was when I started to think about life in general and like what I wanted to be as a professional, but also as a mom and as a wife and as a family member and a friend. Like, I felt like I wasn't giving enough time to other aspects of my life outside of work. And once I started to realize that, that's when I needed to kind of figure out what was next for me, and also making sure that I wasn't losing out on all of the fun that I was having while I was at Deloitte too. So I had to figure out something that was going to, like, help me stay purposeful and present with in my family life, but also in my professional life as well. So that's kind of where the impetus came for me to start thinking about that. And then I would say that maybe a year or two after that initial thought is when I actually made the move to do it, because there's a lot of fear that comes with, like, oh yeah, I could do this. I started asking people questions and asking my vendors, like, how do you like it out there, and what, things of that sort. So I knew I wasn't moving during COVID, but right after COVID, it started to kind of, the workplace had become a little different. So during COVID, what I think organizations learned is that they could do more with less, and they weren't replacing the people that they had, reduced in workforce, and they were still expecting the same or better results. And that wasn't different for the organization that I worked for at the time. So I was just like, I think I need to kind of figure out if I'm going to work this hard, does it need to be for an employer or does it need to be for myself? So at that point in time, I decided to do something different and honestly, I didn't right away decide to start a business. I just wanted time off to think about what I wanted to do next.
I
So,
see.
yeah.
So you took time off.
I
And
did.
what happened so that's, you resigned from
I
Deloitte?
resigned. I resigned. It was the scariest thing I've ever done without a
without a
job.
plan. Okay. And then, so you're on your time off.
Yes.
What happened?
I'm on my time off, and then I decided that I was going to just kind of like get to know what I wanted to do. So I went on this whole quest of getting to know myself better, if you will. Anything that I would probably tell my client to do, I probably did myself. So I went through the whole visioning process. I went through getting to know myself better and finding out what my hobbies were. I went through all of the fun things of just like sitting in some of the emotional turmoil that I was dealing with at the time, all those things. And what uncovered is that I actually do like working. So I knew that I was going to go back into the workforce. I actually was looking for jobs. And in that time period, someone reached out to me to say, hey, we have this wonderful contract at Deloitte. And we would love for you to come in part-time just to consult. You don't necessarily need to come in with anything more than maybe 10 hours a week, if that. We just really want your expertise because you've been at Deloitte, you know Deloitte pretty well. And that started like this very part-time consulting thing on the side. And then from there, I was just like, oh, well, I guess I could try this out until I find a job. And that's literally how the business started.
Amazing. And not a very uncommon story from the big, like Deloitte and McKinsey and Ernst & Young. A lot of people I know said the same thing. It's like, I quit. And then they came back to me and they offered me better pay for the time, obviously, because you're a contractor. And they're like, hey, I can get used to this. So that
Yeah.
kind of same thing happened to you, right?
Yeah.
So I could make the case then that you might have had it easier because of that opportunity. Is that a fair observation?
I do think that I have it easier for a number of reasons. Number one, so Deloitte wasn't the one who was reaching back out. I guess maybe a leader at Deloitte was through the company that they hire. But just generally speaking, I did have that contract. I do think that contract was very important. That kind of set me in a path where I didn't have to worry about the next thing.
Right.
The second thing is that I had a huge network working at Deloitte. And I would say for anyone deciding to go out into your own business or, on your own, use your network and know how powerful that network is. Like I had a very, very, very strong network coming out of Deloitte, and I made sure that I leveraged at least 2/3 of it. I would say that I still haven't leveraged all of it to this day. I can do a better job of it for sure.
Amazing. And just to say, like, your network is your net worth is a very common cliche, but a very true one. And it's still to your credit, because a lot of people work for Deloitte don't have a network because they didn't impress people, they didn't get on with people, they didn't take the time. So it's still to your credit, I suppose. But the whole point of putting your skills, I mean, Deloitte definitely leveraged your talent. There's no doubt about that, and made way more money than what they paid you. So in many ways, that's the advantage of working hard for, let's say, a little bit of the reward that you might have gotten on your own, because you managed to take advantage of all the opportunities that they bring.
That's right. Yeah. I think that the one thing about me is that I'm very inquisitive. So someone like me, I kind of, my career did a squiggly line, right? Like I'm not a straight line type of girl. So while I was at Deloitte, I tried a lot of different things. Like half the things that I did are not even on my resume just because it just doesn't make sense to fit in. But I did a lot of things, and I really appreciate Deloitte for being the type of organization that allowed me to do all of those things and leverage my expertise.
I love that. I was mentoring a young student in Harvard, And again, it was the same thing. I sat and said to her, what are the opportunities that you have in Harvard? Forget about the fact that you got to Harvard. That's already great, but you're the same as everybody else in Harvard. How are you going to stand out? And she started to see so many opportunities to leverage the brand of Harvard and the connections and, inviting people who were all great. Yeah, I'll come and talk at Harvard. And then she built this unbelievable network on the back of that. And she talks about how she was lucky that she got the opportunity, but I'm like, but you took it. Not everybody does that.
That's true. That is true. I do know other people that did not take advantage and they are doing different things. So that's a very good call out. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that a lot. Because I think it's often easy to downplay our success.
Yeah.
But we overplay our failure.
Yes.
It's like, I should have done better there. Yeah. So let's say, is it fair to say that your current path as a solopreneur has been on the back of leveraging what you did at Deloitte? Is that a fair?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say 100%, but I would say that yes, that is true. And also just having the expertise that I do. I do think that I'm kind of, and I used to describe myself like this at Deloitte, I am a unicorn. So I have this clinical psychology background. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology, but I actually understand workplace performance very, very well. And I actually enjoy it. So I'm not your traditional IL psychologist, industrial organizational psychologist. I truly do leverage my clinical expertise to address the workplace complexities. And that's one of the things that I think I bring because I love people. I leverage my relationships with people because I've taken the time to build those out in a very systematic and purposeful, intentional way. So I do think that I bring something to the table that a lot of people may or may not bring.
Yeah, and I call that a standout position. Yeah. Because what's a standout position? It's something where you brought in mastery, or at least attempted mastery, which means you have to have focused on this one thing for a long enough time, and then proof that you know what you're doing.
Right. That's right.
And when you have a clear focus, and then proof that you know what you're doing, that's a standout position.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that allows you to obviously create the opportunities you want. What was the biggest challenge as a solopreneur up until today? What's the biggest thing that you had to overcome that you're really happy you did?
Business development by far. So my personality doesn't necessarily go straight to selling or closing a deal. So business development is the biggest challenge that I have every single day, not because I don't have the network to do so, but because I have a hang up sometimes with feeling like I'm being a salesperson. And so I have to always remind myself that I'm bringing a level of expertise, but also I am trying to help people. And instead of, thinking about it from a place of selling, I need to think about it from a place of what can I do to help you?
Value.
And that, the value that I'm bringing so that it doesn't feel like I'm a used car salesman.
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing. Lots of people would resonate with that. The other thing is I always talk solopreneur. Why I asked you this at the beginning also is I want to see how people think about the term solopreneurship. But I think of it as this way: as a solopreneur, it doesn't matter who's on your team. There's two things we need to know: how to deliver the outcome that we're selling, right? Because if I say to you, I can help you achieve this, then I need to be able to deliver.
Yeah, otherwise. Of course, yeah.
And then the second thing is how to find people to pay you to deliver that.
Yes. Yes.
Those are the only two things we need to know: how to do what we're good at, and then how to find people that are going to pay us to do what we're good at.
Yes, that is
correct. And if
correct.
we can figure those two things out, everything else is irrelevant, really.
That's right. I agree.
How are you on that side of it now?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're building your mastery on what you're doing. How would you rate your current situation on the getting customers to pay you?
So I will tell you that I do that in a number of different ways. Number one, I reach back out to my network. But number two, I diversify by partnering with other people who already have clients. I find that sometimes really does help me to get the momentum I need to get the exposure and also to come up with ideas for how to really engage with my customer base, with my client base. So I'm not just all about getting it by myself, but partnering with other people who either already have it or are ready to go to market with something as well. So it's really important. And I would say that it's a 50-50 for me. I 50% in partnerships and 50% of my own clients.
Would you say that part of leveraging your Deloitte network also is to find these partnerships? Is that a big part of that?
Definitely. I think that most of the people that I work with or the companies that I work with came out of my Deloitte relationships. Amazing. They were vendors that I worked with before.
And it's so two things that are really important to the listener is, number one, if you have that type of network, then you can use it as a leg up in your path as a solopreneur. But if you don't, also, that's not the path. Then you have to learn. I use the fishing, and you have to learn how to go and catch fish on your own. Right. You can't rely now on other people to point you to the fish. So it doesn't. It's not an either or. It's, this is my path. I'm going to use what, it's the Arthur Ashe quote: "Do what you can with what you've got from wherever you start." That's all we need to do. I think I butchered that quote, but you remember the quote. Amazing. I love that. How old's your kid now?
13.
13. If she says, is she or he?
She.
If she says, "Mom, I want to be a solopreneur," what would you say to her?
Oh, I welcome it. I think that she probably she will do something that is similar to solopreneurship. She wants to be a fashion designer. She wants to be an artist. She's super creative. She's a dancer. She's a singer. She's a theater person. Like, I think she'll figure that part out. It'll probably be like what I first started off with. I was halfway employed and entrepreneur at the same time when I first started in psychology. And I think she'll probably go along the same path. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, it's good that she's got a mom that's done it. What does next, we've talked about, obviously, where you've come from, let's say, as a solopreneur. What's next level for you? What's the thing that's going to tell you I've now overcome the next challenge?
Yeah. So right now I'm writing a book. And the reason why I am writing that book is so that I can really increase again my exposure to gain more clients. And so the next level for me is using that book to create masterminds and to create services and offerings that really help organizations take things to the next level themselves. So I want to make sure that I'm giving people an opportunity to get to know me more holistically than just one-off workshops and executive coaching.
And why did you decide, or how did you decide that this was the right thing to do to enable this holistic attention, let's say?
Yeah, a few reasons. Number one, I've always wanted to write a book, so it's always been in me to do that. So I knew I was going to do it. But the second thing is that when I first started in this business, everyone was like, you need a product, you need something, you need to be able to stand on something that you are known for. You need to have a brand. And I think that people see me as a clinical psychologist a lot of the time. And so they're thinking emotional intelligence and things of that sort. So I needed to create a brand that I can stand behind that is a lot more holistic than just the clinical part of who I am, but brings in the leadership aspect of things as well. So it's me creating a brand for myself that can really last and that's really sustainable for me in my business.
And the aside from the fact that you wanted to, I mean, I can make a case that a lot of people who are on a path of mastery or in personal development, I mean, you talked about the inner journey earlier as well. A lot of people in that kind of area all say that I wanted to write a book, or I have a book in me. You know what I mean? So it's not a strange thing to hear. Yeah. But aside from that, the fact that you've got a book, why was this the path that made you think that's the best way to build my brand?
I've just seen it work for other people. So I think of all the great people that come before me, Adam Grant, Brene Brown. And no, I know I'm not neither one of those people, but I do think that, exactly. I do think that I can get there. I do think that one day I can get close to being that. And they have a brand, and they have books, and they have things that they can hand off to people to remember them by. And I just want to create a legacy for my business, for myself, for what I do, that people can really look to me to say like, oh, she's a thought partner here. And she creates that leadership in this space that I can take with me and utilize over and over again without having to just have notes from a workshop. Like, I want something that'll stand the test of time. So the book is really an avenue for me, because what I have heard from other people who do what I do is that it's a really great way to get your foot in the door and to get recognized so that you can tell your story.
It's like a $20 business card, someone told me once, a book, because it just opens a door a different way. Why is this important for you, that you create this brand and that you show people your holistic side? I mean, you mentioned getting new customers. Obviously, we all want to make more money and make more impact. But why is this important for you personally?
Personally, I think that this is what I teach other people to do. So it'd be really weird to not do it. I tell people that you need to differentiate yourself. Like, there are a lot of potato chips out there, but people really know Lay's really well, right? Like, so branding does make a difference. You want to be known for something. That's how people remember you. That's how you stand out. That's how you differentiate yourself from the other people who are doing exactly what you do. So that's why it's so important to me, because I know it works. And I know that it's important to really be successful in business.
And so being successful in business is the driver?
That's a great question. I didn't think about it like that. I think if you're just asking me a business specific question, sure. I think being successful in business is important, but also it creates, this book actually speaks to everything that I do in life. It speaks to every practice that I put into place, or at least the majority of practices that I put into place. So it actually is a living version of who I am. And so it's not only about the success of the business, but also sharing a piece of who I am with the public.
And just so I'm clear, because I think this is a super interesting concept, and a lot of people nod heads when people say the things you say, and then I go, "Did you understand why?" And did you understand that? They will say no, and I go, "What were you nodding your head for?" So that's why I ask these questions, Dr. Scott, because it's like I'm trying to get under the skin of it.
Yeah,
let's say you showed the world who you are, but your business didn't change as a result. Would that be a success?
Yes, because my motto is helping one person every day, is the HOPE model. Help one person every day. So as long as someone picked up the book and read it and got to see who I am, then yes, that is definitely good enough for me. I'm not writing the book to like make money or anything like that. If I were, then I probably would have self-published. Yeah.
I get it. You're not going to self-publish?
No, I was going to self-publish. I have a publisher. Yeah.
You got a publisher? Because that's a big difference, I think.
Yes.
To say I'm a published author, because anyone, I could just write a book and release it on Amazon and say I'm an author.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
That's like someone just saying I'm a doctor. Why? Because I gave my my sister medicine.
That's right. That's right.
That doesn't make you a doctor. Yeah, I think that's super important. Again, did you leverage your network for this, or was this a purely?
I leverage my network for everything I do in life. Parenting, I don't know, everything.
You know why I'm asking this? Because it's important for people to hear this.
Yeah.
Because some people go, should I? Shouldn't I? It's like, what do you mean? It's your network.
Yeah. It's your network. Why do you have these relationships if you're not going to reach out and ask for
it? Yeah. I say the same thing on people on LinkedIn. You know, I'll message them and they'll be like, why are you messaging me? I'm like, we're connected. Like, why are you connected?
Why did you connect with me? Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like turning up to my party and then not talking to anyone. I mean, that's like, why did you come to the party?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's actually how you and I met in the first place, is through LinkedIn. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's true. What's the biggest risk with this? Because obviously you're clear. Like you're like, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to leverage that and I'm going to try to get attention on what I do. Essentially, what's the biggest risk with that?
I don't see a risk.
At all?
I don't see any risk whatsoever in writing a book. Unless maybe, I guess because I believe in what I'm saying, unless someone read it and was just like, oh, this is a bunch of crap, I guess.
That would be a risk for you?
I guess. I don't even know if it would be or not, right? Because for me, I'm just like, I don't really care what other people think is, like, that's not why I wrote the book. It's really to share like what I think. I don't know what a risk would be in this case. There wasn't anything that I looked at,
I don't see it either. I mean, at the end of the day, you could upset your publisher, I suppose, and maybe ruin that relationship.
Oh, I love my publisher.
You could upset them.
Yeah. They are an awesome publisher. They're very small, but they're great.
Amazing. I'm very happy to hear that, by the way. So we talked about from big consulting to designing your life, really, is the way I understood it. It's like, okay, I'm designing my career with Deloitte, but I'm not designing my life. It's that kind of thing. And it's interesting how we loop back to holistic, because you talked about coming up with a holistic plan, and then you've ended by saying, I want the book to show me as a holistic person rather than as a psychologist or a leadership expert or whatever it is. And then and you talked about staying present and purposeful. And actually, I found that even in this conversation, you showed that you were able to stay present and purposeful, which is really cool, because a lot of people say these things and I don't see it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying that, to be honest with you. And the fact is, you showed that even throughout this, because I say how you do everything is how you do anything.
Yeah.
Or how you do anything is how you do everything. Actually, it should be that way around. Right. And I think that came across really, really, really clear. You then talked about the delay of, you knew you wanted to go and do something different, but you were scared. I mean, why would I give up what I got at Deloitte? And I got a baby and I got, money coming in and I got a good network. That's absolutely normal. And it absolutely makes sense. I'm of the Judge Judy school of thought that if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. So everything you said there made absolute sense. And I'm sure a lot of people understand that world also. And then COVID obviously changed the workplace, got you to think differently. And you decided, okay, even though it was scary, you decided, I'm going to quit, cut the cord and go off and do my own thing, taking time off the inner journey, which is so important. And so many of us don't know that we've got that opportunity to do that, actually. So that's a privilege for me that I was able to find that inner journey. I'm sure you feel the same way. And then how you got a head start, because Deloitte came back to you and said, we want to give you more money. I know you quit, but can we pay you some more money because you're super talented and you've got things that we need your help for. Essentially, that's what they told you. And so you use that as an opportunity to A, put your foot into solopreneurship, but also B, to believe that this was possible, actually, creating your own life on your own terms.
Yes.
Right? And you had the specific expertise that made you stand out a little bit different, and that shaped you as someone that might bring attention differently to how someone else would. And you decided to go all in on that. And apart from really selling, you didn't really have any concerns, but then you reframed this idea of selling to something different, and you managed to embrace that. You managed to leverage your network to find new partnerships as well, and use their clients to then offer your value, which is super, super smart, by the way. That's the McDonald's, that's Coca-Cola selling their drink through McDonald's. It's
right, exactly. That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Which is super, super clever. And now that you've gotten to where you want to get to, you know that it's time to introduce yourself to a bigger audience.
That's right.
And writing a book about your whole self while showing your expertise and what you're aiming for mastery in, and is the way to do it, because you can create a personal brand around this, open the door, help more people from further away, let's say. And that's what you're going all in on, and you have no doubt that it's going to help you get there. So is that a good summary of?
That's a great summary.
Is there as you heard that, is there anything that you want to add, clarify, emphasize, anything else that you want to say to close us off?
I think that the biggest thing is believe in your dreams. And I know that's very, very cliche, but honestly, like I didn't start performing at this level that I am currently until I started really living out my dreams. I feel like the work that I do is even surpass some of the work that I did while I was at Deloitte, because I get to live out my dreams, but also my creativity is there, my energy is there, the flow is there. So I would definitely say that I know it is hard to just, leave your job or to leave the situation that you're in due to financial obligations and other life circumstances. I get that part. But even if you can start small with doing some of the things that really fill you up, you'll find that you might be able to turn it into a full-time career or job or life.
Yeah, very, very cool. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Is there anything I'd like you to share, something that you want to celebrate about yourself? Is there anything you noticed about yourself as we talk through that journey that you want to say, you know what, I'm really proud about this, or I really want to, celebrate this, something like that? Anything about yourself?
I think I would just love to celebrate the fact that I'm still in business and I don't have a business plan. So I would like to celebrate that my spirituality has brought me to where I am today, and it's given me the opportunity to be very successful. And I'm really proud of myself, but also I'm proud of the way in which I have had the opportunities to show up for other people. So that's really what I'm most proud of.
I love that. I talk about plans are only opportunities to show that you don't know what you're doing, actually. And I always think about a plan as, what kind of life do I want to live?
Yeah.
Right? What do I need to do now to get there?
Yes.
And then it's the next step.
Yes.
That's really my plan. I don't have anything more than that.
Well, I can't make a better plan than God's plan. So I don't
know try. Fair play. Where can people find you that you'd want them to find you?
Yeah. The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. You can DM me. You can just, put a message out there. That's always the best place. Or you can reach me through my email at info@serenityscihealth.com.
Amazing. And we'll put those details in. It's her LinkedIn handle is Cree Scott /Cree Scott. And you can find her there. That's where I found Dr. Scott and where we started talking. It's been a pleasure really conversating with you. I know that this has been a long time coming, so I appreciate you taking the time and giving me your time. And I know you're busy and I know you got things to do, so I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to reading the book when it comes out. I hope you'll send me a copy.
Absolutely, I will.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Alrighty. The difference between surviving and thriving often comes down to a single shift in perspective. Maybe today's conversation sparked something for you, or maybe it confirmed what you already knew. I'm going to keep exploring what it takes to reach the next level. For more solopreneur stories, hit subscribe. And if you know someone who'd be perfect for the team of one, please introduce us on LinkedIn. See you next time. Peace.